All right, so for those of you with us, thank you. For those of you watching later, you're in for a treat. We have another special training where we have Coach Kat with us from the locker room. Today, we're going to be talking about your event playbook. And so this is referring primarily to having client events and kind of the dynamics of doing that, systems around doing that, because it is such an incredible way to reach so many people in your database, to get lots of touches. And then the bonus of getting face-to-face time with people all at once. So face-to-face at scale, which we know is the most impactful way to communicate. Hopefully I'm not breaking up too much. I see my screen flickering. Hopefully you can hear me. But with that, let me just kick it over to Coach Kat so she can jump in and we can get this thing going today.
Awesome. Hey guys, I am Coach Kat with the Locker Room. And before we kind of get too deep into this, I'd like to ask first off, how many of you have hosted a client event in the past? Okay, Heather has, Brian has, anyone else? Okay. I will say this too, if you're able to turn your camera on, that is awesome. If you've ever taught on a Zoom before and then had most of the squares just be people's names, it is painful. So it's definitely helpful for me as a coach and a trainer to be able to see your faces and know that what I'm saying is at least closely resonating or hitting the mark with you guys. So if you're able to do that, that'd be great. So we've got two folks on the call, I believe, that have hosted events. And for the rest of us, it's just kind of future planning potentially, right? So why host events? Can anybody share with me, for those of you that have hosted events in the past, what hosting an event has done for you and your business?
For me, it's created community. It's been really fun to see a lot of my clients become friends with each other, even though I do heavily farm. So a lot of people may initially know each other, but that's probably been the coolest thing. And then I want to love on them. And it's a great, gentle touch point with people instead of just being like, I want your business, I'm in your face.
Absolutely. We talk a lot about how we want to be in communication with our clients at least 36 times per year. And some people, when I say that, they go, what? That's so much. That's too much. I can't even imagine what that would look like to be in touch with my database 36 times per year. And so they just shut down. However, events give us a great opportunity to be able to be in touch with our people multiple times throughout the year. And like you said, Heather, in a very non-invasive way at all. I was just listening to Brian and Kate talking about Kate's birthday that's coming up and asking her where she's going to go to dinner and all this stuff, right? And at no point did she feel like she was being sold or anything like that. She's like, I'm just thinking of where I want to go for my birthday. And the same thing is true when we're talking about events. It really is to create community and to stay top of mind and in touch with our clients. Absolutely. What else has this done for your business?
I don't know if you want me to keep talking, but
sure. If you'd like to.
The other thing it's brought, I'd say the biggest impact is in referral business. So whether it's an event or a gentle touch, like sending them gift cards at Valentine's Day, like every single time I do it, I get at least one referral. This last one, I've had 3 referrals come from it. Absolutely.
So I'm going to share a story real quick here. I have a husband-wife team that I am currently coaching, and I'm going to refer us back to the Locker Room's track workbook. So shameless plug for those of you that have not taken track yet, you should take track. We're going to be launching that the second week of April. And so get signed up. I'd love to have you in there, but I'm going to real quick here share my screen and just show you guys in the track workbook, there is a worksheet here. and it talks about how in your first year, you should be yielding approximately a 5% rate of return on your database. So somebody on the call, just share with me, how many people do you have in your database currently?
I have 120.
Okay, so 120 people in the database. Year one, that should yield you about 6 transactions. Okay. Year two, it should yield you a 10% conversion. So 12 transactions, right? 10.1. But by year three, if you're doing it correctly, hosting events and doing these types of things, 120 times 0.165, you should have closer to 20 transactions. And that's literally not even by growing the database to add more people, just having the same number of people in that database year over year over year. Now, of course, I'm going to tell you, continue to grow the database and add more people to your database. I mean, literally this week, I think I've met at least 3 new people. And so I'm continually adding people to my database. Yet, when I was working with this couple, they had shared with me that they've been in business now for 5 years. And so their yield on their database should be well over 16.5%. Wouldn't you agree? Yet when we tested it, they have 2,000 people in their database and they did 55 transactions last year. So if I take 55 and I divide it by 2,000, that means that they're converting the yield of business that's coming from their database on an annual basis is less than 3%. That's about the same number that we would see from a brand new agent. So what's causing the deficit? Where's the breakdown in that equation? And I would contend that it's not dancing with the one that you brought. That's a saying that my grandma used to say all the time, right? We dance with the one that we brought instead of inviting the girl to the dance and then having her sit on the sidelines while we dance with somebody else, right? And it does tend to be like that. I had a coaching call with a gentleman yesterday who has a brokerage out of Alabama, and he was sharing with me that when I asked him how many people were in his database, he said maybe 75. And I was like, okay, wait, I'm confused. You've been in business 20 years. How do you have 75 people in your database? He shared that him and his team did about 50 deals last year. I'm like, if you've done this year over year, every single year, you should have considerably more people. And he said, well, because once I've closed a sale with somebody, I don't keep them in my database. Tragedy, right? And this broker was trying to figure out how he was going to put food on his table next month because he's continually paying for leads. And I said, okay, stop the madness. You've got to have all these people's information somewhere, right? Let's go ahead and go back into our archives and pull all these people back out and love on them. This couple that I was sharing with you, they had a very similar experience. They had done transactions with people, but then not kept up conversations with them, not talked to them because they were buying leads, and those leads monopoly took up almost all of their time. I'm like, that word's just not going to happen today, is it? So, how do I access this worksheet? Allison just asked how she accesses this particular worksheet. It's in the Locker Room University. Allison, do you have access to that? Awesome. And even more so, I'm going to grab.
Is there like just a PDF you can send us? Or because I've never been in the locker room, to be honest with you. So, but I would really like that sheet, just that sheet.
It's pretty fantastic. Let me see if I can just grab this guy right
I guess
here.
I can try this link you sent.
Yeah, the link takes you directly to the workbook.
Okay.
The locker room, there it goes. And then I'll see if I can.
Yeah, this is my first time on any of your trainings, so.
No, that's okay. So I just attached the workbook in the.
Perfect.
Yep. However, I would say get it in the Locker Room University. It is the best platform going for sure. Okay. So, and this here resides on page 81. It's good. You'll want to have this workbook because, to be honest with you, page 82 is fantastic as well. So this all goes with an actual video series. This part here is all part of week 8, which is the follow-up and follow through.
Can you make it so I can see the whole thing?
The whole workbook?
No, just the page, because it was, I could only see like
Oh,
half of it.
Half of it, sure. Yeah, so heading, this one right here is page 81, which is what is in that workbook. And then if we look at also, there's ideas for staying top of mind. And again, looking at week 8, if you watch the videos that go along with this, they're incredibly insightful. They'll give you the prompts to be able to put in here. When we head into page 82, it literally has a calendar in there where you can begin to fill in what events you think you might want to have in 2023 or 2024, whatever year you're beginning your planning for. Now, what I want to say real quick here is that couple who decided that they were going to go back and love on their current database, we decided to put 3 events on the calendar. It's pretty ambitious for never having had an event, yet she decided that we were going to do 3 events. So I'm going to share with you real quick here a spreadsheet that I had made custom for them to be able to put their events and communications in as we work to put together a 36 touch, right? So we decided on February 26th that they were going to host a movie event. Now, before picking any kinds of events, I needed them first to determine who their ideal client is, right? Look back, survey all the people that they had helped thus far and determine who are these humans. Because here's the deal. If we're going to play a kids movie on February 26th and we're going to invite all these families or people in our database and we have no families in there, that could be a little weird. They might not have a lot of people show up, right? So we had to first look at, is it families that they're serving? Well, this couple actually is a family with 7 kids. And ironically, they attract a lot of families with large numbers of children. So this did make sense for us to do. So we put this movie event on the calendar. We went ahead and we put a save the date movie event postcard that they sent out to everybody back in January. Then you'll notice in February, we had a, and I don't think it's in there, but there was an email to invite. There was a call to invite. There was a text to RSVP. And then we had a sorry you missed it or thank you for coming that included a survey that asked people what they would have liked to have seen differently. So these folks do 55 deals a year, right? And their goal actually this year, because their prices have greatly increased, their average price point has increased so much, they had decided they were going to go down to 35 deals. However, thus far in the year, they're on track to do closer to 90 now. So they held their event, and here's what happened. The day of the event, they got 6 referrals. You guys, that is insane. The week after the event and all the follow-up that they were doing, they got another 4 referrals. I spoke to her last week and she said they got another 2 referrals. So what happened was they went from being, you know, part of somebody's memory to being top of mind. And all of a sudden, these people who loved them and cherished them because they had walked alongside them throughout the transaction had decided, hot dog, I've got some business for you. Tell me that's not awesome.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So I've been in business almost 10 years and I have never, ever had a client event. And most of my business is all referrals. And I have a database of probably around the same as Heather. And it works for me like crazy. I keep in touch with them, but I am not your traditional agent. I don't send out emails. I'll just send in random texts. They're all on my social media, all of that stuff. So if someone was to look at doing their very first client event after all of this time, what would you recommend as the first type of event? Because like on this spreadsheet, there's many, many different types of events.
Absolutely. And to be fair, there's a myriad of different events that you could do. I'm just going to pull this guy over here and expand it so you can see it better. But I would say that it should be something that makes sense for your business, right? Like I'm straight up Nerdsville. I mean, as nerdy as they come, these are not just a prop. They're like, if I take them off, I can't see. But it's probably because of years and years of reading and nerding out. So I love Pi Day. And I know that sounds really goofy, but like 3.14 on all the other numbers, Pi Day in our house is a big deal. We usually do chicken pot pies, turkey pot pies, and then I bring in pies from the Traverse City Pie Company. And we do those with our kids, and it's a big deal. My database knows that's a big deal for us. St. Patty's Day, also big deal, right? So when I started looking at what events I'm going to do, for me, it made sense to do something that resonated with who I am. And my clients would be like, oh, yep, that's Nerdy Cat for sure. But now Pi Day 3.14, you know, some kind of a weird math equation. So it's part of who you are, I think would have to be the thing. So here's a couple different ideas. There's a movie day. I have in fact rented out an entire theater in the past. When Frozen came out, I rented an entire theater, and my clients came and they got to enjoy the day for free. Vendors sponsored it, so it cost me absolutely nothing. You'll see here, there's Magic House, giveaways, Fall Festival, Pi Day, pictures with Santa or the Easter Bunny. I have one client, a broker owner, who she rescues animals all the time. In fact, pretty much every one of her agents is passionate about animals. And so they go volunteer at a dog shelter, and their clients come along and volunteer with them. Costs them nothing, really, but I think it's a brilliant idea because they're constantly posting pictures of animals. A certain percentage of all their sales go to the animal rescue. So I just think that's so smart. And then at Christmas time, when they do their Christmas event, instead of doing kids' pictures with Santa, although if you bring your kids, you can get their picture too, but they do pet photos with Santa.
So your suggestion is try to figure out what's hyper-focused to you and who you are, and then start to wrap that around an event as far as what a first event would be. So let me ask you a question. So one of the reasons that I've never done an event is because I am afraid I'm not going to do the event again. So consistency is key with these.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to do one, you should commit to doing the same one every year.
Maybe, maybe not. So I try to keep an open mind. You know,
Okay.
If my clients respond really well to it, then sure, I'll gladly do it year after year. And what's interesting, as much as your clients will look forward to it, if it was a good event, you'll likely look forward to it too. You'll be like, oh my gosh, that's coming up in a few months. I got to start getting the ball rolling. Brian.
All right, I gotta figure out how to lower my hand. Okay, yeah, so Allison, I mean, I do the same thing sometimes. I mean, I think there's an element of overthinking in terms of looking too far down the road. You plan an event, you do it, you execute on it, and you reflect back on it. And if, like she said, if it's worth doing again, you do it again. If it's not, you don't. Nobody's gonna be in a worse place in your database because you don't do the same event the next year, right? So I wouldn't worry about too much about what does next year bring. I would plan the event, do the event, and then go with it. There was on one of the locker room Tuesday calls, there was an agent a little while back that talked about, I think that's where it was, where he does a fireworks show. So he's big into fireworks himself. He has a personal fascination with them. So he does this. And now most agents, most people aren't going to be able to. He puts on a fireworks display that is bigger or larger than the town he lives in than what they put on. So he's getting he has people begging to get an invitation to this thing. The point is that's one that, yes, people are looking forward to every year. It has grown into that. But I've done holiday parties that, if I had the bandwidth to do it that year, I did it. If I didn't have the bandwidth, I didn't do it. And nobody was, sending me ugly text messages because I didn't. So I would say just think about the event that you could get excited about, do it. I've done events at Durham Bowls. I did it one time. Everybody loved it, they enjoyed it, but I never did it again. And so that's what I would say. Find something you're excited about doing, do it, and then reflect back on it.
Okay.
Yeah, and having a solid system around this is really, really helpful. So a couple years ago, right at I guess we were really in the thick of COVID, people were looking for an excuse to get out and be around people. We ended up doing a pumpkin giveaway. And so we met at no local pumpkin patches would allow us to do an event there because of COVID restrictions. So we did it literally in my lender's backyard, which is kind of fun. We put up a couple of event tents that, just the smaller 10 by 10 tents. We had some tables. I bought all of the pumpkin carving kits. My lender supplied all of the pumpkins. Title company supplied donuts and hot cider. And then I paid for 2 photographers to come. And I picked up some bales of hay from a friend of mine that has a farm. And we use those as props. The lender started a bonfire out back, and people would sign up to get their family photos done, fall photos. And it was a great event. And what's actually really funny, I feel, is I put a Facebook event out so that I could invite my friends via Facebook too, because a lot of my clients, that's how we communicate, is through Facebook. And this young man and his kids showed up, and I was like, "Hi, how are you?" And he goes, "Good." And I'm like, refresh my memory. He's like, "We've never met. I just saw the event on Facebook, and I thought, man, kids and I are feeling cooped up, and we wanted to get out, so we thought we'd come. And I saw it said real estate, so I was curious. Can you help me find? We're looking for a house in this neighborhood." Blah blah blah. I was like, "Okay, yeah. How far are you into your search?" He's like, "We just started, and actually." So we moved to the area 3 years ago, but my agent's no longer in the industry. So I thought this would be a good way to come and meet a realtor. You guys, that was kind of weird, right? Like I expected to network with all of my other friends, like all my clients who I would consider to be good friends, but I never expected to get new clients that just saw the event and decided to come. So I thought that was pretty neat. We ended up having a speaker outside, playing music all day. We took pictures. So all the photographers, or the 2 photographers that I had, they ended up doing the event for a reduced fee because they knew they were going to get everybody's email addresses so that they could send them their family photos. And to them, that was increasing their database. And then they took event photos too that I could utilize later to use as social media marketing. So I guess just to kind of show, picking the event is going to be really helpful. Again, I do recommend putting it into some kind of a calendar like this so that you can just kind of see how and where it falls. Literally your first year, you might do 1 event. And I think that's really good, to be fair. Now, I will say when we first started, you'll see now there's 4 events on here. She has decided, she added this one here, the dumpster event. That was one that we weren't going to do. This one is literally just renting a dumpster for the neighborhood. She puts a big banner with their company logo on it, and then walks around, does door knocks her neighborhood and lets them all know. I mean, she's still doing the mailers, doing all that stuff too, but letting them know that the hours for the dumpster are from here to here, because she's responsible for what goes in that thing and wants to make sure that people aren't sticking things in that they shouldn't. But additionally, she got local sponsors to give away a gift card to the local brewery, a gift card to the local grocery store that everybody goes to, and a gift card to the local restaurant that everybody likes. So people turn in their information to win. And it helps her to add people to her database in her neighborhood that she maybe didn't know before. The first year a friend of mine did this, she ended up with 25 people in her neighborhood that came. The second year that she did it, she had 55 people. So I will say the more times you do it, the more people you'll end up capturing with these events and stuff. But anyway, so she decided to add the dumpster event. And then we are working on adding one more event in here. She's like, I am bit by the bug. It is awesome. Instead of trying to do these big, huge, blocks of time in my calendar where I'm constantly calling everybody all the time and trying to figure out how to stay in, this gives me a valid reason to call them. It gets me face to face with them, which is something I could not do. If I tried to meet with every single person in the database, all one-on-one, I would run out of time. There'd be no time left to sell real estate. She's like, but this way I get 50 to 70 to 100 people in front of me all in a single day. So it's really, really wise. And so now, like I say, she's bit by the bug. And we're now talking about more like micro events too. So contacting a group of ladies that she's really close with, or that she knows have things in common, and inviting all 5 to 10 of them for wine on Friday afternoon. So these would be more like little micro events to be able to still have face-to-face with people. But instead of trying to do them all one-on-one, this is a way to do it with 5 to 7 ladies or so. What questions you have so far?
What does the MNN stand for?
That's her monthly neighborhood newsletter.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, good question. So as we were putting these together, we're sticking in like different things like this. The other thing you'll notice on here too, like January birthday cards, what we did was we went, I had her go through her entire database. She just hired a VA. So she gave him access to their Facebook profiles, and he went through, looked up every single person that was in their database, and went to the contact area and found almost all of their birthdays. And if the person had been tagged as a VIP in the database, he went ahead and added January birthday, February birthday, March birthday. So we have it set so that every month, the month before, she sends out all of her, or she populates all of her birthday cards by the 20th of the month previous, so that she can handwrite them and get them all stamped and ready to go, so that on February 1, she just sends all of the cards for February and just says, it's your birthday month,
Can I ask a question? Sorry if I missed it. Hopefully you can hear me. So what, in terms of like these events and the tasks leading up to it and after it, like I see some of them, but like the cookout beach event, for example, like, I don't see things like, send out to save the date or invitation or whatever. Like, is there somewhere where those tasks, like the to-dos, are itemized?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she still needs to put in there the dates that she's doing that, but I've got a Word doc right here that I think is really helpful for that. So,
okay.
Yep. So this one here, and that spreadsheet, I just want to kind of show you that that's like a work in progress. She's supposed to be working on that every week. and we are working on that. But right now I'm most focused on the next 3 months. As long as she's got the next 3 months done, then I'm allowing her
Right.
some grace to get the others done. So when we look at this one here, you'll see should be done 6 weeks before the event. So here's just a list of different ideas, but we're going to pick the event, right? 6 weeks before the event, I'm going to contact the sponsors or the charity and figure out, okay, what am I asking them to do, right? So is it a, if we're working with a charity, are we doing a food drive, money, volunteer? Like I mentioned, if we're working at the dog rescue place, have I contacted them and asked them, can they handle that many volunteers? Like make sure we can have a solid plan here. And then decide the goodies needed for the event. So if I can, this is where I'm kind of putting together the plan, the budget, the title, who all I need involved, to be able to make sure that I can do everything that needs to be done. I also have this spreadsheet here, and it just kind of talks about like, all right, how many guests, the number of past clients, best friends, VIP, sphere, public, so like, who am I inviting? What's the budget for the event? Number of guests, who is going to be sponsoring it? What's the general gist of what we're trying to accomplish? And then any notes from a previous event. So like we did this last year, but there's some things that we probably would not do again. This happened and that we've learned from that or whatever. And then what charity, if there's a charity attached to it at all, there may not be, but what charity am I attaching this to? I'm going to give you guys all of this stuff after we're done. But this one here, gives you the framework for putting together a budget. Site, location, does it cost anything to be at this location? Do we need decorations? Is it like a Valentine's date night? And we now need, little centerpieces for all the tables. Maybe we're renting a hall and bringing pizza in, and we're doing it by candlelight or whatever. And we need 15 teenagers that'll all volunteer to be babysitters in the next room over, whatever the case may be, but we're now putting this all together. Am I having to pay to get some graphic work done? I usually just do all my stuff in Canva, but some people might pay to have a, Fiverr or a local graphic person do it. Photocopying, printing, if you look at the cost of postcards, postage, all that kind of stuff, if you're going to be mailing invitations. Here's some miscellaneous expenses, refreshments. Do I need to pay for food? Is there a cost for, performers or speakers or travel or any of that kind of stuff? Most events, you're not going to have any of this, but I think it's just helpful to have an all-encompassing spreadsheet that has a little of everything. And then prizes, is it like a field day and you need to have ribbons or trophies or, or are you doing a bowling event and you're giving away prizes to the top bowlers for the day or whatever the case may be. So it gives you a pretty good idea of what you need. If you wanted to, this can literally be like your decoration list or food list or gift prizes, things like that. So this is pretty stinking comprehensive in my opinion. It goes a little deeper than the worksheet, but this is just really, really helpful to say, okay, here's the gist of what we need to do. And then you can kind of take it from here. 5 weeks before the event, I'm determining who is invited to the exclusive event. Is it past clients, current clients, referral partners? And I want to go ahead and tag them or label them inside my database so that I know who it is that's getting invited. That way, whether I am printing the invitations or doing those things myself, or I'm having somebody else do it, it can be very clearly understood who is going to that event. So 5 weeks before, you're doing an email call, send the mailer to the target participants 5 weeks before. It's typically a save the date, right? So 4 weeks, or excuse me, number 4, Responses should be recorded using a spreadsheet. So I always put on there like contacted, checking with husband. That way I know that I still need to follow up a couple days later after she's talked to her husband. Or contacted, they'll be in Vegas that weekend or whatever, cannot attend. So I usually put little notes in there so that way I know who's coming and who's not based out of the spreadsheet. I do a small, like a Facebook group for just the people that are coming to the event or the people who are invited. I create a Facebook event inside that group. For past clients who've not responded to the event email, I send them a text message or a call. Even if they have responded, I just shoot a quick text that says, I'm so glad you're coming to the event on blah, blah, blah. I'm looking forward to seeing you today. We bought the decorations and I can't wait for you to see them, or something, just a small teaser. And then literally kind of leading right up to it, I'm, still hitting the people that maybe haven't responded from different angles, right? During the event, I look for what items I need. Me personally, to me, it's like an open house. So the week before, I'm making sure that I have all the supplies. They're already in totes or whatever needs to happen. The bales of hay, I had it time blocked in my calendar to go to the farm, pick up the bales of hay and drive them out to my lender's backyard, right? So just making sure the week before that you've budgeted time in your time blocks to ensure that you have all the supplies that you need. After the event, I send them pictures with a thank you note, and call and thank them for coming. For my agents thing, we did just a post-event survey, especially with that being her first one. She really wanted to know, how did we do? Did we execute properly? All of those things. And so we thought that was good. And then for those who didn't attend the event, call and invite them to the next event. Hey, I'm so sorry that you weren't able to make it. We do have another event coming up on this day, and I want to give you plenty of notice. I know it's 4 months away, but please save the event date for next year or for in the fall. Does this make sense, guys? What questions do you have? You can ask questions about events that I've done or seen done. You can ask questions about the checklists or the budgets, whatever you like.
One thing I would like to ask that often I hear from agents is about getting sponsorships. And I'm sure it depends on the type of, if you're having an intimate holiday gathering, you probably don't have a sponsor, or you may not, but if you're doing the event like at the ballpark, you might. So can you just, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you that, if it's literally just your girlfriends and you guys are going out for drinks, I would not get a sponsor necessarily for something like that. However, you could invite a lender and they might pay for it all. But when you start looking at, renting out a box at the upcoming, baseball game or something like that, then yeah, I would 100% get a sponsor. The biggest thing you want to look at is what's in it for the sponsor, right? Because you guys are all business owners, right? And if the little league people came to you and said, hey, would you be willing to sponsor our kids' little league team? One of the first questions you have is, okay, so yeah, absolutely. What do I get for my sponsorship, right? How will I be able to show up in front of all the parents? Or am I allowed to bring a team dinner one night? Can I bring water bottles and stick my logo on them and give them out to all the kids? Like what am I allowed to do to be able to increase my exposure? Same thing is true when you're working with a vendor partner. Their biggest question is how does this benefit me in my business, right?
I have a random idea to throw out there, because I loved this idea growing up, just in terms of something to attend. And I've always thought that it would be a fun event to do as a realtor. But one of my mom's best friends used to always do a pie breakfast on Thanksgiving. And so she would invite her friends and family over, and like she would buy some of them, but she would make a lot of them, but she would make quiches and pies and just have a ton of them available. And obviously she was not cooking Thanksgiving dinner, but it was kind of nice because it was such a community event where, like, yeah, you want to eat something hearty because you probably will eat later in the day, but who wants to cook twice, and who really wants to like try to find somewhere to go out to eat? So I always thought that would be such a cool idea to do as a real estate agent, because again, to Heather's point, like it can form such a community, and it's such a like lighthearted event. Like people can kind of show up when they feel like it, like it's between this time and this time. It's really low pressure. There's no expectations, and who doesn't want to just show up and eat, so just thought I'd share.
That's a great idea. I've never heard of a pie breakfast, but I would totally be about that.
Well, I just want to share, I was at a training years and years ago and heard an agent talking. He was based in the Charlotte area, and he had done, I mean, this was maybe 10 years ago, and he had done like, 110 or 120 million in volume the year before, so he had a pretty good sized team and all that. But what he said, he's like, the only thing I do for lead generation, the only thing, we don't buy leads, we don't do open houses. I mean, other than what we have to, like, the only thing I do that's systematic is client events. And he did one every month. Of course, he at that point had, more help, but he said, you get all these touches, on average, I don't remember the exact number now, but, it was like, we get to touch our database like 80 to 100 times a year. And he's like, when we put on these events, and he's like, I just kind of stay in the corner. My mindset for hosting the event is make it a great time for my people that are coming, so that they get excited about it, tell people about it. He's like, I'm not there to go ask everybody if they want, if they know anybody that needs to buy or sell real estate. So he just focuses on throwing these great events. And so like that could literally, like if you enjoy this kind of thing, like that could literally be your lead generation strategy, is just hosting events, because then when you throw a great event, people are going to tell their friends about it. And so all of a sudden you're going to naturally expand your sphere of influence that way. And then you no longer have to think about like, oh, am I going to pay for leads? Or like, oh, I have to be really good on Instagram, or I need to go door knocking. It's like, you could literally just do this one thing, line up 12, they do like events in the park and movie nights and pumpkin things and strawberry picking. You can just line something up each month of the year. So yeah, I just, do your first one, but keep an open mind to this could be a really powerful thing that 99% of other agents don't do very well. So.
Well, and I'll say too, to Brian's point, if you're doing a good job on your social media, if you've got other pieces that are going out that help to remind your database that you are a realtor, because our database forgets that we're a realtor every 21 days. I mean, I'll kind of transparently admit, I was talking with somebody at church the other day, and I remember at least 3-4 months ago, they told me what they do for a living. I genuinely do not remember. And I feel bad about that, because I saw them and I was like, my husband asked me, what do they do? And I'm like, she told me. I don't know. I don't remember. Right. So I had to go to her Facebook profile and try to find it. But it's not that they don't care. They're just busy and they forget what we do. So if you're doing a good job on the social media portion of things, if you're doing a good job by emailing or, sending it, having at least 4 real estate conversations a year with them in some way, shape, or form, the other stuff happens organically. To Brian's point, like all the events I've ever done, I haven't said, okay, who you got for me? You got a referral, gonna hand it over. Like, thanks for coming. And your price of admission is a referral. I don't do that. I've seen other realtors do it and they do it successfully. Like these people were giving away a Yeti cooler, And to be able to win the Yeti cooler, you had to put down at least 5 friends who were going to make a move this year. I honestly think that most of those people they were putting down were just people's names so that they could get in on the Yeti cooler thing. Because when people followed up from that, they were like, what? Wait, why are you calling me? Me personally, I just don't do that kind of stuff. So I agree with Brian on that. Most of the time, even when I've done the small micro events, I mean, my husband and I have committed to having at least one family over every single week of the year. Knowing that sometimes we're out of town or whatever, we will sometimes have 3 to 4 families over and we turn it into a big dinner and game night. I've got 2 families coming over tonight, to be exact. So when we do that, though, more often than not, one of the questions that's asked is, hey, Kat, how's real estate? Oh, it's good. It's been busy. Oh, hey, I was going to call you. My brother's looking at moving back. It almost inevitably happens that I get a referral from every single one of those. And to be fair, we actually don't do it for that reason. We just do it because we're genuinely curious and want to get to know people. But could you do it? Sure.
I like that idea of a giveaway. I don't like the idea of, give me 5 names, but you can, especially if you've got vendor partners helping with sponsorships, you can do like a cruise giveaway for like $500. I mean, it doesn't cost much to get those things. A TV for $350. Like, every time you do this, you could have some really cool giveaways that then can get some play on social media, and it be inexpensive or free if you've got a vendor, sponsoring it. Our Yeti cooler sponsored by Movement Mortgage or whatever.
Right.
They're coming to your event, so they still associate you with that giveaway.
Absolutely. This playbook can be used even to do a home buyer seminar. Guys, I was just talking with a broker last week, and he was discouraged because he's doing a home buyer seminar and they only have 8 people that have confirmed that they're coming. And I said, and it's a broker wide one, like it's everybody in the brokerage. And he was like, oh, this stinks. And I'm like, okay, but let me ask you though, let's be real. Did every one of your agents invite their entire database? And he's like, oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, I know. Well, let me ask you, did you have your agents text at least 10 people a day to invite them from past clients, current clients, database? No. Or 10 social media messages. Like, so it really truly is like an event, right? And we can't expect that people are just going to organically hear about it and show up. We need to be actively inviting people and getting them, getting those bottoms in seats, right? So I was prepared for the phone call and had gone through all of the social media stuff, and not one of his agents had even talked about it on their social media. So I had a feeling that nobody was inviting anybody. And I see Brian's like, 8's a great number. Well, they had rented out a facility to seat 50. So they were really worried that 8 would look like nobody. It wasn't just a small event office. They had made it a big deal, but he was now in panic because it was like 6 days out. And he's like, I've got 8. I'm like, well, first off, most people RSVP last minute. Second off, what can we do in the next 6 days?
You're talking about home buying seminars or workshops. I've done those a few times. I did 3 home buying workshop or seminars. Each time I had one person like organically, register to come, and all 3 of those people became clients. So that's a good ratio. But what I used to do was have friends or close past clients or whatever. They were just plants in the audience. I had them come so that it didn't, that one person who was organically coming that I didn't know didn't feel uncomfortable.
That's awesome. That's really smart.
But nowadays, you do a virtual home buying workshop, and it's a heck of a lot easier for people to say yes to come.
Yeah.
than to show up to an agent's office who they don't know yet. And so I think that's another great point. I didn't even think about this game plan as a lead up and follow up for a home buying workshop. That's brilliant.
Yeah. I've thought about doing a home sellers workshop. So I put together all the slides and have it all done on the things that you need to know to sell your home, what home repairs are worth it, what home repairs are not worth it. And I want to see, I've not known a lot of people that have done a home seller workshop. So I want to see really what that would look like and how many people I get before I go telling a whole lot of people about it, even though I just told all you guys, but.
It's I've heard that idea for many years and yet never seen anybody execute on it. So that'll be cool.
No, me neither. That's why I'm like, is there a reason why I've not seen that? I'm just going to give it a shot and see what happens, and I'll keep you guys posted. But what other questions do you guys have? Or is there something that you saw today that you're like, okay, that's it, I'm doing it. I've maybe never done an event, and I've decided my first one, we're doing this. So I want to hear feedback from 3 people before we get off today, if that's okay.
Well, I just really love that spreadsheet, the budgeting. That's what I need. Because right now I just make notes like on my phone, how many people came, how many, appetizers were eaten, and budget and all that stuff. So I really like the spreadsheet. I'll definitely use that.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. What I'll do is I'll get these to Brian and Kate and then have them distribute them to you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I'm mad that I'm just now hearing, or not, I shouldn't say mad, but the idea with the pictures in Santa and the Easter Bunny, I love. One, my husband does videography for weddings, so he has all of the cameras and pictures and editing software. But then my cousin is a party planner coordinator. And she has every costume of character you could think of. So she has the Easter Bunny, she has the Paw Patrols, the Pepper the Pigs, and the Frozens, and all of that. And I come from a large family, so having events like that where you can come and take a picture with the character, Spider-Man, I mean, whoever you could think of, she probably has a character.
That's awesome.
And I never thought to utilize that. So I probably too late to do the Easter Bunny now, but yeah, you guys just wait. I'm going to have a whole lot of characters coming soon.
That's awesome. It makes me think of like 4th of July. It'd be fun to have, Uncle Sam. I mean, so many opportunities there. So.
Mm-hmm. Good idea.
I was just reading Allie's comment. Is it Allie? Yes. Okay. About the micro events. And one thing I will say about micro events that I love is because it's just a smaller number of people, you can go deeper in your interactions. They can be more powerful and more meaningful. We had some friends over, and honestly, I had to almost reconsider. My husband had a kidney stone a couple of weeks ago, and it was a big one. I guess he ended up having to give birth, or wasn't able to give birth. It was basically like a C-section type situation. They had to do surgery and stuff. It was a really interesting thing. But we had invited some friends over on Sunday. We were in the ER Saturday night, and we were both trying to decide, do we cancel, do we not? We ended up still doing it. And my husband was just like, listen, I need you guys to give me grace. I'll probably be laying down a lot. And but we had such a great time. We played euchre, and the one lady and I beat the husbands. It was awesome. And we were joking that night, her husband had like a weird heart rhythm, and he ended up in the ER that night. My husband's kidney stone rose up and attacked him, and he ended up in the ER. And so we still joke that we can't play euchre with our husbands anymore because they'll just be such big crybabies. They'll put themselves in the hospital the next day. And everybody that's heard the story, they all just laugh. They're like, was it your lasagna, Coach Cat, or was it the euchre, the fact that you girls beat them at euchre that they ended up in the hospital? But so we both all joke about it, and it's become kind of a joke in our circle of friends that we can't do euchre parties at our house anymore because the guys are just always going to lose. So again, you can't, with a big group, you can't get some of those fun little stories, those fun little interactions and the transparency and things like that that you can with a smaller group. So Allie, I really love that. Anybody else?
I think personally, it's just motivated me to reorganize my database, because kind of taking a step back, I'm like, I know a ton of people and I have a lot of closings, but putting it all in one place has been a little daunting. So I'm really motivated to do that again. But also, moving to a new place, this is something I've thought about, is just creating an Eventbrite for, like Allie said, like a little micro event or just something casual that doesn't like have the need for a lot of planning, but doing like a work from blank Friday and just picking one spot a month or every few weeks for, like, on Fridays, we're going to meet up at this coffee shop or at this brewery or whatever the case may be, and we're just going to all sit together and work from home, work remote together. And like, if you want to sit and chat, amazing. If you just want to kind of be in community, it's great, but it gives you an opportunity to promote a local business and to meet new people. But you could do that same type of thing for past clients or your database and just be like, I just want to hang out with you guys, like totally no pressure, not expecting anything, but like, I'd love to see.
Absolutely. I love that. Thanks, Kate, for sharing that. And I think there'd be a lot of, me personally, if a few of my friends said, let's all get together and work together, I would love that. Because my working partners right now are a cat and a dog. And so I talk to them a lot, but they don't talk back much. So. Awesome. Well, hey guys, I don't want to keep you on too long. I'm sure you guys all have other places to be at 8 or 11. So have a great week. And again, if you've not signed up for track, you definitely need to do that. We're going to have a great time again this time. Brenda Harrison, if you're on the fence, call her, ask her what she thought of last time. And she'll definitely be, I'm sure, willing to share with you her experience. So
yep. And another plug on that, we're going to be hosting the track meets live here at the office as well, up in the training room. So come in for some agent interaction. More info coming out on that too.
Awesome.
Thanks
Kat. Guys.